I lied. Concrete isn't first on the job site, plumbing is. Why is plumbing first on the job site? Because water comes from the ground, and water goes to the ground. There's two stages of plumbing. In this stage where there's just dirt on the ground and there's not really anything else there, that stage people call it the rough stage of plumbing. There's no toilets, there's no showers, no sinks. It's just the dirt and the pipes. And you have to have an image in your head of where all these pipes are going to go in the house for each toilet. You can see behind me right here. It's hard to visualize where each of those pipes goes and what plumbing situation everything's going to be in regards where everything flows smoothly, hopefully for people that own the house too. So, how does things flow smoothly? They flow smoothly by not having so sharp corners where the water crashes up against a corner. There's not a smooth bend around a corner. Instead of, that's ideal, whereas the other situation where the water's just crashing against the end of a pipe, that's not ideal. That's not ideal. Over time, that's gonna put wear and tear on the pipe. Doesn't necessarily matter if it's PEX piping or copper piping. You're gonna be putting unnecessary wear and tear on the pipes. And you're going to cause things to potentially be loud for the person who lives there. I know it was never really annoying, but I lived at a place where you could hear the showers. You really could hear the downstairs shower. It's really annoying, but you would hear every now and then you'd have a neighbor. You'd be like, I heard you showering last night. So to avoid these sort of situations, you have to plan properly so water doesn't crash up against things. And also, so there's no unnecessary air that is introduced from that sort of crashing action. So that's part of it. Oh, you also have to know how the pipes go to the roof. Now, a lot of people don't know why these certain pipes go to the roof. And these certain pipes go to the roof because think of it like as if you're shotgunning a beer. You open the top, open the tab, and then you pierce the bottom. And opening the top helps you drink the beer or whatever out at the bottom. And it's the same concept with plumbing. You have to open the top. You have to have an open pipe at the top of the structure or wherever. So gravity can just do the work, and that allows gravity to do the work. It's the last little example. If you had water and you sucked water partially through a straw, and then you put your thumb at the end of it, I'm probably explaining this wrong. Maybe somebody could explain this better if I'm not explaining it properly, but you suck water partially into a straw, you put your thumb on the top, and then, the water doesn't flow to the end. Probably explaining that improperly, but it's a little common science experiment, if you will. But I think the beer can analogy is better. But that's how water flows down with gravity. That's how it works with air. But in terms of the mapping of everything, you have to look at plans and you have to look at the blueprints. The blueprints are really important at this stage. The blueprint, because at this point, you can't see shit. You can't see anything. And that can be kind of scary for sure. You can't see anything. You can see, but it's just dirt. You can't necessarily visualize it. Oh, but wait, there is a way you can visualize it. You can visualize it through blueprints. And the blueprints will tell you where each of the pipes leads to, what diameter the pipes need to be, whether, whether it calls for a copper or PEX or any of those things. All of that, I was going to mention this in the last video too, but all of that relies on the engineer concrete, all the planning, all of that. A lot of that just gets until damn, like I didn't go to school for that, and I know going to school for that was really hard, so I don't go too much into those woods. If necessary, those woods are harder. Those woods are harder for sure. But regardless of everything, this can all be rewarding when all is said and done. It's very tedious. There's a lot of technicalities with all this, and of course being invisible and all that. But once everything is done properly, you have everything aligning, running smooth along the ceiling joist. You have everything running along perfectly. no, you can't hear any water in the walls when you do a little test. And part of it, hey, people aren't going to see this part. This part's either going to be under concrete or partially, or could be in a basement or a crawl space. Long story short, people aren't going to see it, but sometimes the things that people don't see are the most important. I don't know if this is that, but we'll end there.